there's a raccoon on my head. And I don't particularly look good in hats, especially when they're still moving. I certainly wish this were one of those, hey, look at me, standing here on vacation in Waldrug, wearing a $15 coonskin cap pretending to be Daniel Boone, so hurry up and take the picture moments. But it's not. No, my cap is very much alive, and very much ticked off, and very much sporting a lot of painfully sharp claws. But I guess I'd be mad too if someone interrupted my late night dinner reservation. I mean, who knew that in the woods you simply can't shove a forgotten bag of trash into your garbage can? I didn't. City dweller Wade Rouse moves to rural Michigan in hopes of becoming a modern-day Henry David Thoreau, but his attempt to get back to nature, however, is a little too close for comfort in coonskin cap. From At Least in the City, Someone Could Hear Me Scream by Wade Rouse. Not long ago, I moved to the woods of Michigan from the city because I wanted to be a modern-day Henry David Thoreau. My goal? To find myself, to find my modern-day Walden Pond, and live a plainer, simpler life. Thoreau famously wrote, "I went to the woods because I wished to see if I could learn what they had to teach, and not, when I came to die, discover that I had not lived." And he was right. The woods have already taught me something of great value. I am going to die! Specifically, I'm gonna die after being disfigured by a raccoon. But at least I had a life-changing epiphany, albeit a bit too late. The epiphany? Never go to a place that doesn't have a Starbucks within arm's reach, or you might find a wild animal clinging to your scalp. The raccoon digs its claws into the side of the head and begins to burrow like it's trying to bury an apple into the middle of my brain. The raccoon locates an artery, and I begin screaming like any man who is truly scared for his life. Help! Oh, help! Can anybody help me? There's a raccoon on my head! But I suddenly realized this is a rhetorical question. No one can hear me in the woods. In fact, my yells simply echo off the surrounding pines, the voice coming back to me sounding a whole lot like Drew Barrymore right before she gets offed at the beginning of Scream. I can feel blood trickling down my face. Whoa. I will later read on Wikipedia. Raccoons are unusual for their thumbs, which, not opposable, enable them to open many closed containers such as garbage cans and doors. As city dwellers in the United States and Canada increasingly move into primary or secondary homes in former rural areas, raccoons often considered pests because they forage in trash receptacles. I, of course, read this. A bit too late. However, I'm a child of the 70s, which means I didn't have to read to learn. I just had to watch TV. And that's when it hits me. The solution to my problems. What would Lucy do? Lucy would fight back in some wacky chocolate factory grape stomp invite me to Vegemin Way. So I grabbed the garbage can lid and the flashlight and I whacked the raccoon, taking part of my temple along with it. But the coon doesn't budge. It screeches and digs its claws more deeply into my skull. It's those thumbs. They may not be opposable, but I swear this thing could hitchhike. I drop the flashlight in the garbage can lid and desperately try to grab the raccoon with both my hands. It latches onto my left arm. Ugh. I pull an armful of the fur-friend beast and it hisses at me. Let go, you stinky little booger! These words sober me instantly as I remember the night in the city not so long ago when I yelled the exact same phrase at a man who tried to snatch the handbag off the arm of one of my best friends as we left a downtown nightclub. That night, in desperation, begging for Lucy's guidance, I had yanked from my jean pocket the only two items I had to thwart the would-be criminal. My tube of Burt's Bees chapstick to use as a mock knife, and my spearmint breath freshener to use as a makeshift pepper spray. And believe it or not, this ad hoc city survival plan had worked. Instinctively, my hand goes deep into the pocket of my dark jeans to yank out my artillery. My furry nemesis suddenly grabs my upper lip, and the pain shocks me back into reality. I square the breath spray up as best I can into the dark, and I spray! Twice!
because that's what I always do to ensure freshness. The coon squeals, bites on the hand, and then grabs my lip balm. I release the breath spray, the raccoon releases my arm, and it sprints into the deep dark woods. The little bandit blinded temporarily, but now sporting surprisingly minty breath. Thank you, Lucy. Oh, thank you. And just like her, I start to cry. Weep, really. Like only Lucy can weep. Out of panic and terror. What would Lucy do? Well, right now, the director would yell, "Cut!" and she would go off to her trailer and start reading for tomorrow's script. I am not so lucky. As I stand in the dark, I realize that I brought all of this on myself. I wanted to live simply like Thoreau. I wanted peace and serenity. But I think I got rabies instead.